On November 2nd, Jordan Ott and the Phoenix Suns authored the first chapter of the Wemby rules. They threw wings at Victor Wembanyama, fronted the post on every entry, pinched their elbows, and sprung doubles when he dripped the ball. They defended him like an oversized small forward. The result? The San Antonio Spurs sank to a 108 offensive rating, 26th percentile for the league, well below their season average. A few nights later, the Lakers doubled down on the same game plan, with Rui, Jared Vanderbilt, and even Marcus Smart taking roles at just hounding Victor Wembanyama. Sometimes throughout the game, it looked like even a boxing one was on him. Victor across these two games averaged about 5.5 turnovers because every catch was a trap, every dribble was a swarm, so when Houston looked at the film, they didn't have to reinvent anything. They soldiered the blueprint into their game plan, and the question walking into Friday wasn't whether Wembanyama could score, it was whether the Spurs could find any consistent offense outside of Wemby to weaponize his gravity. And that's the question this game answered. Here's how San Antonio broke into the Wemby rules. Houston walked into Friday night with the same scripts. They glued to Wemby, flood the nail, pinch the elbows. They may have the longest wingspan in the league. They just shrink the floor by just existing in the gaps. Now, Victor only took 16 shots, but every touch bent the defense. Let's dive into the film. On this play right here, let's look at Wemby's processing. He catches the ball and recognizes the help coming, but as we see, Sochan is 45 cutting behind Adams. Wemby follows for the laydown pass. Right here, Wemby receives the ball early, and as he starts his attack, a man comes to help. He just swings the ball around and trusts in his teammates, and look, good things happen. On this last clip is another example of being patient and just trusting the process. Double comes baseline, he just swings it around, and look at the result, a wide open 3 for Champagnie. Mitch Johnson didn't just settle for stagnant mid-post touches with Wemby either. He weaponized Wemby as a screener instead of just allowing teams to take him out the game via double teams and overloading and trapping in boxes at once. Right here, here's a successful look at it. Wemby is going to screen below knowing that the Rockets like to switch. So he just does a little touch screen, and then KD's ball watching and then recovers late, allowing Wemby just to have a clean dunk over top of him. And when you're smothering one player this aggressively as a defensive unit, the geometry collapses, and that opens up opportunities for the same offensive team to get a bunch of offensive rebounds on the glass. And Houston lives on second chances, and the Spurs just stole that identity Friday night, with 15 offensive boards matching the Rockets at 40.4% offensive rebounding percentage, their season high. That's not just effort alone, that's scheme. Wemby seals 2 defenders, and everybody treats the doubles like a runway to the rim. So holding Wemby to 16 shots didn't slow down San Antonio. They leveraged his gravity, turning him into a screener, and punished the Rockets' rotations on the glass. But the real swing was the defense. 23 turnovers forced, and the pressure just everywhere. Let's break down how the Spurs took Houston's creators out of the rhythm. Walking into the game Friday night, Houston was first in the league offensively with a 122 offensive rating. After Friday night's game, where San Antonio held them to 10 points below their usual average because the Rockets couldn't keep the ball under control. 23 turnovers, and it just wasn't gambling from the Spurs. It just was overwhelming length with Wemby in the background and pressure at the point of attack until the offense unraveled, especially knowing Houston's weakness without a point guard. Alongside Castle causing havoc at the point of attack, Sochan did a phenomenal job being all over the place and just an overall Swiss Army knife on the court defensively. Right here, Sochan and Castle just going to switch this ball screen between Amen and Sengun. And Amen tries to attack Sochan, but he has nowhere to go and eventually leads to a travel and a turnover. Houston's offense got disassembled Friday night, possession by possession. Next, let's dive into how the Spurs caged Sengun and Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant finished the game Friday night 8 of 18 with 8 turnovers. And with Harrison Barnes on him as a primary defender, he was 3 for 12 with 4 turnovers. The game plan was to flood his space, attack his dribble, and just trust the backline defense, which isn't hard with Wemby in the background. KD never saw real single coverage. He always saw a crowded room. And shout out to Harrison Barnes for staying attached. While the help decided to dig on every dribble when possible to help him, and Wemby protected the rim as much as he can to deter any downhill basket. We all know Durant loves to solve isolation math, but the Spurs gave him calculus this game. And look at this play right here. Barnes is smothering him on the catch. You have Wemby protecting the rim and bringing a double as Durant brings his dribble alive. And Amin catches it, but he rushes and it's a turnover. Right here you have Castle defending the ball on the inbound. And as Durant inbounds it, he then shortly receives it back after. So right here, the Spurs are going to ice the pick and roll, and Castle's going to hit Durant with a back tap for the turnover and another transition opportunity. Right here, Castle picks up Durant to stop the transition opportunity. Durant picks the ball up early because of the pressure and makes it bad pass turnover, leading to an easy bucket. Early in the game, Sengun had a lot of success one-on-one versus Wemby, just backing Wemby down under the rim and finding clever angles to get a shot up. But Miss Johnson eventually switched the look and Stephon Castle took the assignment. Let's pay attention right here to the chess match between Sengun and Castle. Castle's going to be physical up front and front the post so he can force a lob pass over the top. That gives time for Wemby to come double. Keldon Johnson sees it and he steals the pass from Sengun, forcing another turnover. Even right here, Castle's not allowing Sengun to get a comfortable catch and attacks the ball, forcing another turnover. San Antonio didn't just trap KD and Sengun. They hunted every dribble they could, suffocated every option they could, while Durant saw bodies and not air, and Sengun saw a locked horizon. Houston coughed up over 20 turnovers because they were fighting through hands instead of space. When you add that to Wemby's gravity and the pressure on the offensive glass, you realize this wasn't an upset, it was a calculated break of the Wemby rules. And Houston's game plan was sound. They borrowed the league's newest defensive trend and executed it with elite athletes. This game teaches us something bigger though. Against a player with Wembanyama's or elite gravity, trust and structure beats disruptive systems. You can't just swarm the unicorn. You need a system to survive him. So what does this mean for the Spurs? And that's the biggest question after this. So let's step back and take a look at the trajectory this win suggests. Because I don't think this is one hot shooting night. It's San Antonio breaking every Wemby rule on purpose. And that's proof of concept. Everything you saw tonight, Houston will live with it for the most part because they believe most teams can't match their historic offensive rebounding. They'll keep trusting the math. Around the league, expect more big wing coverages, maybe even putting size on Fox, Harper, or Castle just to be a switchable body on Wemby when he screens. Opponents are still going to make other Spurs prove they can consistently punish them for the attention Wemby draws. Some will even flirt with drop coverage, hoping to bait Wemby to jumpers, but that also means giving him a runway to the rim. Here's the underlying truth. The Spurs aren't a Wemby do or die team. They're a system that orbits around a cheat code, an alien, many will say. The question isn't how far can Wemby carry them. It's how fast can everyone else grow into the slots he opens. Right now, they're a sturdy playoff team with a second round ceiling in my eyes. Put a healthy Fox on the floor with Harper, with Castle, and Sohan's two-way leap, and that ceiling for the Spurs starts peaking into the top 4 in the West. And San Antonio was already supposed to be a play-in team, potentially bottom of the West playoffs. Now they're 7-2, tied for second. Ripping up rule books people just wrote, brick by brick, they're building something terrifying. Not because Victor can drop 40 whenever he wants, but because he makes the other 4 guys unguardable. That's the leap from novelty to inevitability. And the rest of the conference just got a trailer. I appreciate you for watching. If you're into Film First breakdowns, hit subscribe and drop a comment. What's the move that turns the Spurs from contenders into favorites?